last week.
How's it going?
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Jim and Merrill show.
Oh, yeah?
With all the crazy people
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was a mess.
because you know, go to a show like that, I guarantee you. There. And there's all kinds of people up there.
Got some reading materials, yay.
But yeah, they're just like Marcia called me. She goes, I just have fucking things like this. They just got to do whatever they want. They're just mad because we were having them follow the same rules as everyone else. Yeah, and then one of the seniors got on one of those guys and crumbled up his muffin and just. It's like,
How mature.
seriously. Man, can I just do you a favor right now?
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Jeez. Talk about lack of confidence. Is that
Well-
lack of confidence?
It's a thing.
It's true, David. I'm sorry. What's going on, Josh?
Oh, lack of confidence. What can I say?
Just rushing.
I was too. Said I was too.
So
Yeah,
our
it's just a
license
does
plate
go
on
really crazy.
our yes, not the RV, but the trailer, has been stolen. And I got a toll thing in the mail today, and I was like, what is this? I've never been in Denver. Go look at the trailer, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Right.
Lovely.
I'd love to. I would love to.
One of those little boys of his shares the same birthday as my granddaughter.
Oh yeah?
So I think it's the older boy.
Oh, it's gonna be hard now
You know what, Barbara's
for me to read it.
So we don't have enough seats.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
Probably
we
in
have
the-
more seats in the.
Probably in that room. Neither do I. Joe should have one. How are you? Good. Yeah. Yeah. It's been quite a week.
Ready, I know.
I'm all ready. What? It's only Tuesday. Last week was quite a week. Yes. I know, isn't that weird?
You got this.
Thought everybody here tonight.
I'm like, no, I'm literally asking you guys what's in the history.
Yeah.
Yeah, that never ending story. What, I guess my question was about that.
Matt just couldn't stay awake, could he?
It's funny. I asked him. He's like, yeah, I'm down for that. I'm like, all right. Nyberg, he's back.
Yeah, we have.
Holy cow.
Yeah, because he was on that board the whole time, so he's aware of what they do.
Yeah. The problem is finding it.
Pretty crazy. That'll make a big difference in school funding.
Well,
Five minutes worth of
Wow. says they can do it without vote
Yeah.
from the people.
Yeah, I like to.
I don't mind that.
We've been supposed to be doing that the whole time, something we've never done.
Katie, I've never intentionally lied to you.
So I'm not really sure.
Never. Patrick said he was gonna log on remotely just to check and make sure we started okay. Yeah, I'll have to show them how to turn it off.
What am I doing? What am I doing? Where am I? Okay. All right.
You guys ready?
And the hush fell over the room.
You guys ready? All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, dated July 20th, 2021. It is 6:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Trustee Black.
Here.
Trustee Dallison.
Here?
Trustee Joswick.
Here.
Trustee Moreland. Here. Trustee Politis. Here. Trustee Cesaro.
Here.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Here.
All present.
All right, if everybody would like to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance. All right, at this time, I would like to acknowledge and read a remembrance for Dylan Redwine. This one hits really close to home for me, so I'm going to try to get through it. But I know what I'm about to read right now cannot possibly begin to touch the pain and suffering that you have been through the last 10 years, 5 months, and however many days that we're looking at. But it was important to me that you, Elaine, and you, Corey, knew that this community has your back, and we plan to honor and remember Dylan. Whereas a beloved son was missing in our community, and whereas family, friends, emergency responders, the community, and strangers searched for our beloved son, and whereas search efforts tormented by loss uncovered an innocence in the majestic forested land, and whereas days turned to weeks, weeks turned to months, and months turned to years as justice for Dylan was sought, and whereas an offender close to the case conspired a ruse, and whereas counsel, evidence, and acquaintance alike performed in a conscious manner to let truth tell a story, and whereas our beloved Dylan Redwine is gone, with the culprit now quiet, now therefore I beg our community to remember and mourn our beloved son Dylan Redwine. May we wrap our loving arms around a family that is hurting and honor those that brought this horror to a justified ending. Remember, mourn, and honor this 20th day of July 2021. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Love you. I appreciate everybody, the community coming out. I know that obviously you know you have the support of this community, and Dylan's warriors are never going to let his memory die. But I want to give a special shout out to law enforcement and the forest department and the fire department, everybody that played a huge role in this community to coming to that verdict. So you all are welcome to stay for our meeting. But I would, yeah, if you want to take off, you can. It's-
Thank you.
You okay? Everybody need a minute? Okay. Do we have any conflicts of interest to announce at this time? Seeing none. I'm going to open it up to general public input not pertaining to items on the agenda. If you would like to address the board, you have 3 minutes. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Lucy Stewart. I live at 128 North Appaloosa. And I would like to thank David Black for stepping up and helping me try to solve my issue at my place. I also would like to thank Jeremy. He has been a big help trying to get this resolved. Katie went out Friday to see what I was talking about, understood what I was talking about, and it seems like we're going to have a resolution. And I appreciate that. I still, though, have an opinion of my own that I think that the company that did not finish and do the job on Appaloosa should be penalized before they get to the money. And since the town's going to, Public Works is going to step in, I think that money should go to Public Works when they get penalized with that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you, Lucy.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Wickman. I live at 900 Pine River Ranch Circle, which is outside of town, but I'm here on behalf of the Pine River Valley Centennial Rotary Club. And I just want to thank the town, all your staff, and Mr. McIntyre and his staff for allowing us to go ahead and have a wonderful 4th of July. I think it was really important for the town, and it was certainly important for our Rotary Club. It's one of our biggest fundraisers, and we had a great time. I think everybody had a great time, which was really super important for the town and friends and other people I know. And I want to give some specific shout outs to people who I know worked extremely hard, in addition to all the Rotarians who were there, including Trustee Moreland and Carol McWilliams. But specifically, obviously, Katie and Beth and Becky from the town staff worked incredibly hard to organize and carry out everything, including dealing with the new location that we had to be in, and then thinking up some new innovations, like having an ice truck there for us. We appreciate very much for the town and the senior center board allowing us, as the Rotary Club, to keep our cold drinks in the walk-in freezer, because that was extremely helpful. And I'd just like to also publicly thank Coca-Cola, Dan Cavanus, who's a Bayfield guy, who I'm sure a lot of you know, and Joe Williams, who helped us with our drinks from them, and Bayfield Liquor, Kendra Cole, who always helps us get some of our drinks from her place at a nice cost. Native Roots Garden Center, who provides plants for us to sell, TBK Recycling, who I think does a great job in this town and was very important for us in trying to continue doing the good work to improve the environment and to keep our town clean. Southwest Ice was great. They had lots of ice for us. Southwest Ag, of course, you can't say enough about them. And again, they gave us a tent, which was extremely important as it was always warm. And again, the Marshal's office, Mr. McIntyre, Upper Pine Fire Department. I think we had mounted rangers there, and of course, people from the Sheriff's office too. So it was a very safe, organized, well-run gathering, and I think everybody just had a great time. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Hi.
trustees, Neil Hebe, 368 Schroeder Drive. Sure nice to hear the pledge. It's not going so well in Silverton. Anyway, I'm not here to complain. I'm here to compliment. This 4th of July that we just had was really a great success. I saw some negative stuff on social media, but I'm here to tell you that Beth, Becky, Joe, Rachel, everybody that works out of this building and more really pitched in. I saw how hard they worked. I was here at 6 o'clock in the morning setting up as a vendor, and I saw how hard these people worked all day and how hot it was and how they did what they had to do. And thanks to you for giving them free rein to do what they had to do. And it was so nice to see smiles that weren't hidden with a mask. So the easy thing for us to do is just to show up on the 4th of July. The hard part is what your people did out of this building. So thank you for that, and I hope that we can even improve on it next year. I know it was difficult not able to use the soccer field and on a different day, but there again, they stepped up and made it work, you know. They made it work. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank you all just for your service and your hard work to make this town function, and you too. I'm just here tonight for, well, two reasons. I'm on the agenda later, but for right now, I want to just remind everyone that on July 28th, that is called Ed Moreland Day in the state of Colorado. In July of 2016, shortly before Ed died, the governor sent 2 people to his office with a proclamation about this long, stating all the wonderful things he has done, he did throughout his lifetime. So we are having a food donation, having people donate food. I will have tubs on my driveway. I do, by the way, live at 118 West Mill Street and operate the Mill Street Inn. And I'm starting my 5th year operating the Mill Street Inn. I think that's pretty cool.
5 years already.
Yep. So thank you, and please tell your friends and neighbors.
Will do.
Thanks.
This is Huxley, my grandson.
Should we have anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes, can you please step up to the microphone?
Hi, my name is Laura McLaurin. I'm a fairly new resident here in Bayfield. Been here just a little bit over a year. I love Bayfield. I love Colorado. I'm from the East Coast, so I have a lot to learn. But I am also working hard with Pine River Shares, which has got a whole lot of things going on in Bayfield and is very devoted to the people of the Pine River Valley. I'm very familiar with the farm project coming up, as well as the dome and wool mill things, ideas, and all kinds of stuff. And I have a lot of knowledge of that, so I wanted to just let any of you know that if anybody has any questions about what we're doing or what our plans are or anything like that, I am welcome to answer them. And thank you for being the great town you are.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, anybody else? Okay, moving on.
Excuse me, I would just like to note that we hit the trifecta there. 3 thank yous. and folks, that doesn't happen very
Don't
often.
get used to it. All right. Did everybody have a chance to look at the look at the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Actually, there's some item to comment on agenda items.
Yes, I'll ask for that during that section. If it's on the agenda, there's a chance to speak for that agenda item.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Black.
Aye.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from July 6, 2021? Keep in mind you did get an updated minutes packet.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the July 6 minutes.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to department reports. Parks and Rec. Becky, do you have anything to add to your report?
Yes.
You want to talk? You want to step up to the mic? Come on up. Come on.
Calling you up.
All right. So I hate to end the whole positive thing going, but the park shop was broken into last night, just to let you guys know. They did it the same way they've done it in the past. They go to that southeast corner. They use bolt cutters and they just cut through our fence. And they got in. They weren't able to get into the shop. They cut the bolt to our covered trailer, and they realized it was just tables and chairs, so I think they were fairly disappointed. They broke into our Zircon. Once again, nothing in there of value apart from like our snow blower and our push lawnmower, and those items are too big for them to actually get out from the hole that they cut.
And then we do have our landscaping trailer that we put our lawnmower on, our weed whackers, and like our blower. And they cut the bolts to the weed whacker and the blower, and they took those 3 items. So we're out those 3 items. So
What items are we out?
2 trimmers and a backpack blower. So.
We don't have cameras anywhere down there.
Nope. So we budgeted $2,000 this year to get cameras. We looked into it at the beginning of the year in the spring, and the what we got back from companies was double what we budgeted. So Mark and I realized that it was going to have to be an in-house deal. We were going to have to install the cameras, the floodlighting, and so then spring came and it got pushed off. So still on the agenda, or on our priority list to get cameras and stuff. I'll be honest, like, I think just putting up your ordinary cameras out there with a DVR and just doing recordings isn't really gonna stop these people from continuing to break into our shop. Yeah. We're gonna get a video of someone taking our stuff, but I don't know if we're really gonna be able to identify the person. Joe could probably give us more information on, you know, cameras like that. I think really if we want to stop this from moving forward, because the park shop is really secluded down there, we're really going to have to step up and get like an advanced security system with some Wi-Fi down there to really, you know, when an area is breached, that we do get a call out to the marshals. So
yeah, definitely.
Just thoughts, but
thank you, Becky.
Thanks, Becky.
Yeah.
Was a claim lodged with CIRSA today, or?
Yep, we're working on that.
Okay, great.
Yep.
If you need any help, let me know.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael. One more thing, you guys. So we've been talking about the drought management plan, you know, and if you look at social media and then comments made at the last board meeting, people are saying that, you know, the town needs to listen, you know, why is the town watering when they instruct us to cut down on water usage and stuff. So I'm kind of here for your guys' opinion on how we need to move forward with the parks. Now, granted, it's been super nice the last couple weeks, and we've gotten a lot of rain, so we're able to cut down on our percentages in water in the parks. But in months like June, when we're not getting any moisture, we do have to increase those percentages to keep green grass. So in your guys' opinions, is that something that we want to continue, knowing that we have youth and adult sports and they want green grass? Or is it something that we need to, you know that we need to cut down our percentages, but know that our park staff is not neglecting our areas, just know that we have to cut down water usage as well. So kind of just wanted to hear you guys out so that we know which direction to go. I think either way, we're going to hear positive and negatives from people, but just wanted to put that on your guys' radar because, you know, I mean, we kind of go back, we hear negatives in both areas and don't know which way to go, so.
So typically what would happen is when there's a severe or extreme drought determined, I think that coming to the board, keep in mind that not all of it is domestic water. There's a lot of irrigation water that's used on the parks as well. So, you know, coming up with a plan and having the board make those decisions about what the turf looks like is more public information that goes out that we just can't keep up in drought conditions. So just kind of FYI, we are good right now. As far as even our potable water, we've had some moisture and that's good. But the levels when we go to severe and extreme may take more of your input and decision making as to what the parks look like.
And I think what I was hearing, it was more a matter of what time of day it was happening. And I don't know if we have a timer system or something just to kind of.
Well, and I would bet that most of the water that's going on in the daytime is irrigation water, isn't it?
Yeah, so Joe Stevenson
so
Park
it's
is all
just a matter
irrigation.
of knowledge in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Or if we can, I think we talked about maybe marking that like this is
irrigation
water. Just
Yep. So we got like Town Hall, Eagle Park, Mesa, Gosney, the library, that's all municipal water, and we got that set up so that we're following the guidelines of our water and restrictions. It's just, yeah, like you said, people see us water in Joe Stevenson Park, the soccer field during the day, not knowing it's irrigation.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's just education to the public so they understand, because from what I understand, there were some things that we had to do with that irrigation water before it might have been shut off at some point.
PRID was wrong on that, so we do have storage water, so we're good.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
So just one other thing before she leaves, there was a RTV, the engine would need to be rebuilt. And so discussion with Becky today or yesterday, she felt that we could make it until the end of the year. So it will be on your budget to replace that with a different piece of equipment, but there will be obviously a lot of budget discussions before we replace that.
What was that equipment you were?
The RTV that is listed in the Parks and Rec Director's report.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else for Becky before we let her sit down? Thank you. All right, moving on to our town manager report. Katie.
Yeah, so we hired a custodian part-time. John Walsh is his name. And so we're waiting to do a full background check. And so the marshal's office is working on that. So anyway, just so you know that we are, he is working in the senior center right now. He has done some light work here at Town Hall, but does not have access to Town Hall or the marshal's office. So Corey Griffiths was offered the Assistant Public Works Director position. And from what I understand, he signed all the papers and he'll be starting on Monday. I will be creating, and after Becky and I talked about a community engagement assistant job description, she explained to me that when she started here, there were 2 rec directors and a director of Parks and Recreation. Then there was 1 rec director and 1 Parks and Rec director. And then there was 1 Parks and Rec director. So we discussed, and we think maybe it's a better direction to go to look at a job description for a rec director or something similar to that. It would be, a lot of their duties would be facility rentals, the Pine River Senior Center activity coordination, and town events, and to add to that would be, you know, all the youth and adult softball leagues, signing them up, getting sponsors. You know, that takes a lot of intricate, detailed work. I do not have any authority to move ahead with that position. I would have had authority to move ahead with a community engagement assistant. So maybe something we'll probably talk about at our budget session on Monday or the following regular meeting. In that, Becky thought maybe the parks maintenance position was something we don't fill, and we look instead at a rec director for some of these other activities. And then the school resource officer position is currently vacant, and of course the marshal will continue to work for this Bayfield school district as well. So those are just some of the personnel updates from Town Hall.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments for Katie? All right, moving on to Judge Casey's resignation.
So you have Judge Casey's resignation. It is effective at the end of this year. You currently have a 2-year appointment for a judge. The 2-year appointment started in 2020. The judge will not quite complete his term for his 2-year, and it's typically after the election, so after your April election. So this is my recommendation. You can poke holes in it, or we can discuss it further. We've got some time. I appreciate his long extended retirement notice. Put out an advertisement or an RFQ for a attorney that would act as a judge. The compensation currently right now is $600 a month. And then basically interview. The interview panel could consist of 1 trustee, the mayor, the town attorney, myself, and maybe another staff member or the marshal, basically to do the interviews if we had multiple interviews. This is specifically a Board of Trustees appointment. We can certainly recommend to you that this is the person that you should consider as the judge, but the ultimate decision is up to you. Their appointment, they would fill a term until April of 2022, and of course then I'm sure that attorney or judge would like to see a reappointment, so something to be aware of.
What's our timeline for the RFQ? Are we looking to do something towards the end of the year?
Probably
or
September or October, so that at least we have a full head notice. If we have to re-advertise, I think that would be smart.
Yeah, I'm comfortable moving forward in that fashion.
We don't want to be lackadaisical about it. We don't want 3 months without a judge.
That's correct. Okay, you have,
And, excuse me, and you don't need input from us for the RFQ or the RFP, right?
If you would like to see an RFQ, I'd be more than happy to share that with you in one of your August meetings.
Yeah, okay.
How about that? We'll do that.
all right. Moving on to our financial agenda items, the direction regarding previous disbursements.
I'm going to have Finance Director Kathy Cathcart explain kind of what happened with our disbursements.
Okay. So there was some questions about why there wasn't a couple, it was the payments for the lots in Cinnamon Heights that did not appear on the May disbursements. Those did not appear because those payments did not go through accounts payable. They were, the money was transferred via wire, and so the money was moved via a journal entry in our books. So in the future, the only way that we can, anything that is paid similar to that is paid by ACH, would need to be, we would need to create a vendor in accounts payable and pay them through a manual check system, which is not hard. It's totally doable. And I will do that in the future. We just have we've never had that situation before. So when I pulled the report to give you guys the monthly expenditures, it didn't show on there because all it shows is actual checks that went through accounts payable. So in the future, we will move, you know, if there is anything like that we have to pay via ACH, which there is, we don't do anything via ACH except with the exception of payroll.
And loan payments.
Pardon me?
Loan payments.
And loan payments, you know, loan payments to the Water Resource Authority. I mean, those things from now on I will put them in accounts payable and we will just create manual checks for them and they will show on your disbursement report.
So we're asking if the board is okay with starting from now going forward with this plan as opposed to going back in time?
The only two payments that we have, I believe, would be the loan payment that was probably made in June, and then those two payments for the lots. If you want me to go back and recreate the May expenditures and add those two, I can do that.
Does it affect our auditing process at all?
It does not. It
So,
will not.
okay, so when they're not looking at that piece of it when they look at our audit, when our auditors look at it?
They will,
Yeah.
the auditors are
absolutely.
gonna
They're
see
gonna
it.
see that.
Absolutely,
right
they
question.
will
Yeah.
see it.
Okay, so they'll be able to see it.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh,
that's what I just wanna make sure.
Absolutely. They see that.
I just don't
honey.
want it to be like,
Oh,
okay.
no.
And we can see it too.
No,
It
and
just
we
doesn't
can see
show
it.
up on the disbursement.
It just doesn't show up on the disbursement list.
Okay.
If you want me to alter for the month of May, I am glad to
Well,
do so.
if you decide to go back.
Yeah, if you want me to go
have to kinda
back.
tell us how far back you would like us to go.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it could, it's just time and effort on that. But if I'm comfortable, however the board feels comfortable with those reports.
As long as it shows up when they do the audit, that they
Oh.
can very much see that those
Absolutely.
items are there,
Oh,
then
yeah.
I'm okay with not having to go back and
Yes.
recreate the wheel, but
Oh.
going forward.
Absolutely.
They've
it's
seen
there.
all of our loan
They
payments
see
to
everything.
Colorado Water Resources and Power Development Authority. I mean, all
Yes.
of those are very clear. You can see those, but it's an actual report designed for disbursements, and it requires a vendor.
Yeah.
I understand. I don't think there needs to be any changes. It's just the nature of how the system works and on the report. It doesn't mean we did anything
No.
wrong. It just doesn't
Right.
pull when we do this report.
We are looking for a motion on this item. to suspend going back in time and moving forward.
I'll make a motion to suspend going back in time and creating vendors for all previous non-check payments and reconsider if determined necessary at a future date.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, did everybody get a chance to look at the June 2021 disbursements?
I would move that we accept the June 2021 disbursements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, the June 2021 financial statement is, it's being worked on.
So we did provide that link to the public and to the board. We can hold off on approving that financial statement till you actually have it in your packet, which will be August 3rd. And that's your call. I did provide it. It's been open to the public. We posted it on Monday.
Yeah, I would recommend tabling it till the August meeting.
I'm okay with that.
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Do you need a motion for that?
Do we need a motion for
Yes.
that, official?
I'd like to make a motion to table this till the
August.
August meeting.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, the finance reorganization update.
So we continue to work on that. The first month or second month, there's been a lot of changes. We've moved desks, we've changed some duties, tried to make sure that we pull the old duty away and give it to the new person. You know, that's sometimes can be the hardest thing. We've had a couple family emergencies. Thankfully, the families are okay and staff are okay. But you know, that we want to make sure that you still have a life as well. So we are moving forward. The finance statements came out yesterday. We worked on some more Cassell bugs that we have no idea what happened, but definitely paying a lot of attention to every single number. And I have a lot of red pens that Kathy's about ready to throw away.
Gonna hide them.
That charge for Cassell in the financial statement, is that kind of typical or is that just because of all that's going on right now?
That's pretty typical.
That's typical.
Yeah.
'Kay.
It's all the modules that you have.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, comments? We will move on to Planning Commission appointments. We have Matt Nyberg and Brooke Briel.
And the Planning Commission did recommend to the Board of Trustees to appoint Matt Nyberg. The appointment from beginning 2018 and ending October 2022. And then there's a second appointment that they made, and all I did for the Planning Commission is determined what was the first vacancy and what was the first request. So if you appoint these two members, we'll have a full Planning Commission.
And Matt Nyberg is in the room, if you'd like to say anything.
Since you put me on the spot, I guess so.
Yeah.
Matt Nyberg, 723 Mississippi Drive. Yes, I did apply for the Planning Commission again. I thought that with the 8 years that I had with the board and also serving on the Planning Commission at that time, that I would be able to still maintain and help you guys out with information. So that's why I applied. Thank you.
Thank you for stepping up. So I would entertain a motion at this time to appoint Matt Nyberg.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any
Second.
further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
We also had Brooke Briel. She was at our Planning Commission meeting last week. and she is very excited to get involved with the community. So I would entertain a motion to appoint Brooke.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to
I
old
just
business.
have one comment on the planning commission. They do have their annual meeting in October. Some of the terms will expire in October of this year. So we certainly would recommend, if anybody is interested, there's always room for volunteers.
Perfect. All right, moving on to old business. Do we have any general public input pertaining to 5A or B on the agenda? That would be the Pine River Shares Heritage Farm and Resolution 492. All right, seeing none, we will move on to Pine River Shares Heritage Farm waiver of fees and provide application assistance.
So this is town property. This is not property that will belong to Pine River Shares. And I provided quite a few documents in the packet, kind of the correspondence back and forth. I wanted to get a insurance contact. Instead, they're looking for a contract. That's not what I asked. I think this is a very viable and a positive addition to our community. But there's a certain amount of code amendments, could be a zoning amendment that will be required. We will require a site development plan. And because it's a town property, I'm asking if we can consider funding this. Could be a landscape architect. I'm sure that there's going to be some consultant fees that are involved in this. We may have to waive the fees and the deposit for this actual project. It's likely, this is not necessarily my typical grant look, but there could be also grants out there for local food, you know, farming and agriculture, you know, for our, our kids, our students, and our community as well. So I'm not necessarily asking you for money tonight, but I guess I'm asking, do you think it's something we fund with the caveat that we look for grants for this specific purpose? I don't think that it's possible that they'll be necessarily open for 2022, but if, you know, because the grant cycles, from what I understand, they're going to take some time, and we still have to put some staff time into this as well.
And, you know, I feel like this is a really important project for our community, and I've looked at some of the application process, and it is extremely daunting. I think they definitely need some help and some direction on this. I think it's worth looking into what exactly we need to get this project done. So I would hope the board would be on board to kind of assist. We're not going to run the project, but just help get it off the ground.
Josh and I went down, Josh was down there and I went down there today and to kind of walk over the property and whatnot. And I'm probably a little more familiar with it than Josh because I remember being out there as a little kid when the Harrisons still owned it. In fact, I remember sitting at the kitchen table and looking at Henrietta and says, "What's that gun for?" She says, "Well, we kill the cows with that." So, and my dad used to go out there and help butcher cattle with Merle, or with Claude. But it's an interesting piece of property and certainly has a lot of possibilities. And I think what Pine River Shares has got proposed here will benefit the community beyond measure. Beyond measure. You know, there's this little Pine River Shares program has just started out with a bunch of people who kind of cared about one another, and holy cow, you just kind of find out that there's a whole community that cares about one another when you really apply it. And so I think it's up to us as a board to get behind things like that that benefit the community, and this certainly fits that need. And, you know, it might take a while to get it all done, but, you know, good things do take time.
And we want to do it right. We want to make sure it's done right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad that I did the site visit today. Thanks for showing me around down there, the old slaughterhouse. And I noticed there were a couple pieces of correspondence in here indicating that this needed to happen like right now. And I am fully supportive of going ahead with this. It's not going to happen right now. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be done. And coming up with a plan, I think, is a real good idea. You know, instead of just saying, yeah, let's start turning dirt. You know, I think that this will be a real positive thing for this community.
So with that being said, I would entertain a motion to direct Katie to seek quotes to develop a plan for the Pine River Sheriff's Farm on town property.
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to Resolution 492, water rates adding drought management plan rates.
So you just adopted the drought management plan. These drought rates, I kind of gave you it was a discussion piece last meeting regarding increase if we go declare a severe or extreme drought. We're not there right now. We were moving there really quickly until the end of June when it started to rain. So we were headed that direction. This may be a moot point until next year, but we don't know that for sure. Who knows? It may not rain for another couple months. But this resolution would basically replaces Resolution 419, which is water rates, and adopted in 2018. And you will be looking at a rate change at the end of this year for 2022. And the Resolution 459 that adopted water station rates in 2020. So at this point, the rates do not, the sustainable conservation rates do not change. If for some reason we declare a route, they would change. But I'm not a rain dance maker, so I don't know for sure.
Questions, comments? I think we kind of had a pretty active discussion on this. I don't feel like it's, it doesn't gouge too bad, but it
Gets the point across.
yeah.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 492, a resolution of the Town of Bayfield, Colorado, acting through the Bayfield Water Enterprise, hereafter the town, amending rates and charges for water services provided by the town.
I would second that.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to new business. Do we have any general public input pertaining to items 6A or B on the agenda? That would be you. You're up.
It's you.
Again, I am Jackie Moreland, and I live at 118 West Mill Street. And in 1979, my husband and I moved to the house over there at 118 Mill Street. By 1982, Ed was already on the town board, and we were ready to make a difference in this town. And there was a grant through Title IX, it seems like, that the town received, and it was to start a teen center and rec, department for the town of Bayfield. The teen center was supposed to be for teens at risk. So they would come and we would play card games and watch TV with the VCR. But as part of being the rec director, and Ed Moreland, my late husband, Ed being a trustee at the time, he found out that there was $1,500 for the park that is on the north side only of the ditch there. Now, I know that everybody calls all of this over here, this park, the Joe Stevenson Park, but it was never named that. So in my mind, it's the no-name park. And hopefully you read my proposal that I sent to you to give a description of this. The fact is, this has never been over here, this beautiful park, it's never had a name. And I feel like with the contributions that Ed made over the years, and that was 18 non-consecutive years. So from 1982 through 2015, when I started getting involved in the town, Ed was on the board, and he made a lot of significant changes for the town. We didn't even have a town manager when he started. It was Lavina Mars, the town clerk, who we all went to. So I am here to make a recommendation that the town seriously consider naming this beautiful area that we have over there, that may not be as green as it can be if we have a drought, but finally giving it a name and making a sign that will say something like the Ed Moreland Memorial Sports Complex and Park, because that's what it is. So I would love to get your input. I know this is budget time. And why do I know that? Because for years I read all those packets. So all I can do is recommend it. It's up to you. If you do, and there is a sign that costs a lot of money, then I will do a GoFund and we'll get the word out to La Plata County. And maybe the other counties too, because, for instance, Silverton just loves Ed. Well, I don't know. Now, they've changed. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for your time. Please give this a lot of consideration. It would be my honor if you would name that park after my husband, my late husband. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Jackie.
All right, we will start with archiving social media.
So we have, I believe, 4 Facebook accounts, an Instagram account, we have a Nextdoor account. That's the accounts that I'm aware of. We are required by state law to archive those posts. This is a vendor product that we could purchase, and it's based on how many posts and how much activity each one has. This is not an open checkbook, but this is also something that we're required to have and do. And for staff to try to archive it would be, you would have to hire almost a full-time person if you're looking at basically 6 different social media sites. And I don't know how many sites are out there that that we haven't, we're not paying attention to. So.
Can
I'd
I
like
ask
some
a
discussion.
question, and maybe Mike will have to weigh in on this? When people mention or speak of a community on a social media site, not necessarily Bayfield, it could be Durango, it could be any community, in a semi-official or a questioning fashion, do those type of things need to be archived as well?
No. The things that have to be archived are those items that the town is in control of.
So
So if you have your own
anything,
accounts.
anything that the town itself would post up under their owned account
Yes.
that we actually control, or somebody within the town's purview controls.
And those matters should be saved, archived. yes.
Okay.
And so that would include the marshal's office, and would that include when they post on like that Nextdoor app?
Well, for purposes of criminal justice records, yes. So you've got 2 different sections in Title 2472 with regards to open records. You have just general open records that concern municipalities and counties and public entities, and then you have criminal justice records. So under both those statutes, there are very specific mandates to save public records that are in the control and custody of either the public entity or the law enforcement agency.
And can I ask, is this something new or just something we've never bothered to
No,
pay
it's not something new.
Just something we have not done in the past.
Yeah, and I think this is great. I appreciate the fact that your town manager is looking at this, because in the unlikely event you're ever involved in any sort of litigation, one of the first requests is that you save and you provide all correspondence, electronic or otherwise. So,
If it's already saved, it's
yeah.
a good thing. So it's almost like just basically committing it to a hard drive somewhere, or
The cloud.
a solid state drive somewhere.
The cloud.
On the cloud.
Yeah.
I guess that's a solid state drive.
I mean, obviously, this is something that we need to do, per the law.
Can I ask a question about the law? How long do you have to retain these records? Because I know just in emails, we don't have to retain our emails in government until the end of time. I mean, you can
Correct.
delete
It's
them.
generally a 7-year, depends upon what type of matter you're dealing with, but generally the law requires 7 years
Okay.
of savings.
And of course, my question's always gonna run around money, but what does this cost? And where are we taking the funds from?
Well, it would be basically the activity on the town's Facebook page would come out of the general fund, out of the next door or the marshal's office would come out of the marshal's office. Basically, it's almost insurance in a lot of ways to make sure that if you ever do run into litigation. We have a senior center Facebook page, Town of Bayfield Instagram site, a Parks and Rec Facebook page. Did I list 6? So what is it going to cost? I think that if we at least figure out what our record count is, we would get a better idea. Looking at a 6-month contract just to find out what happens in the first quarter, so that we're in budget season for 2022. We're not guessing. We're just not throwing figures out there just for grins.
And we're not, are we paying just from here forward, or did they have to go back and do some sort
Here
of massive
forward.
archive? Okay.
Here forward.
And did we look at more than just this company? Have we looked at other ones as well? Where did we get this company from?
So this is not the first company that I've been in contact with, but there was a time where I just handed these to Beth. So
They found us based on our peer group. So Pagosa has it. I believe Montrose has it. I mean, it's very active in our area. And they are a leader. I mean, they also have huge municipal accounts too, like Asheville, North Carolina, places like that. But they definitely prospected us based on our peers in the area. And I've had several conversations with them. They seem like a really outstanding company. And I have talked to individuals in other communities and have asked them, have they used it? And they said yes. And it was a game changer in being able, because even if it's deleted, they've already archived it. You know, so whether it's a contentious issue or a he said, she said, that's there. The Bayfield has its own password, its own login. It goes and it can find those things. But in talking to communities around us, they highly recommend it, and at least 2 of the communities had used it within the last 30 days.
So did you actually speak to somebody like at the town of Pagosa that's using it? I'm a little more specific would be good.
Well, I know you're sick of me talking about my daughter, but she, as a public information officer in Mountain Village, she has used it. And then he referred me to somebody in Pagosa that I have not called yet, but I'd be happy to.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious to know a few more references that they might have, as well as asking the questions of whether or not they have any problems with billing, contract increases, you know, because sometimes they nab you with this great price and then then your contract expires and all of a sudden it's a lot more expensive and you're locked in with them. Yeah, exactly. So,
and we can look at that.
Well,
I would be curious to see a contract ahead of time too.
Corollary to that, is this sort of thing that we should go out for bid for?
Yeah.
Or,
there aren't a lot of companies.
I haven't the slightest idea if there anybody else out there that does this. And
there are very few companies because a lot of them have been swallowed up over time.
we still should do our due diligence, I think.
Okay.
I'd like to take the easy route sometimes, but it just, you know.
When we might be able to see, like, how much is it costing Pagosa right now to utilize this service, to have something to benchmark against?
Yeah, and I know
Mountain Village is paying the same, a similar amount, and they have far more active accounts. So let me get the Pagosa snapshot.
That would be awesome.
It's more relevant to us.
Yeah.
And we can bring this back to, we'll just table this and bring it back to the August meeting with
Yeah.
some additional information. I would entertain a motion to table this item.
So move.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to naming a park in honor of Ed Moreland. Who wants to start? Do we want to jump into this discussion?
I met Ed in 1982, probably at a party function, because Ed was
A
extremely
party
active
function.
in politics. And I don't know of a assembly that I missed going forward from the time I came back from college. And the first one was in 1982. So that was probably at Miller Junior High, if I remember right. I can tell you that's all for sure. It was at Miller Junior High. But at any rate, so I've known Ed a long time. I've also known that, I liked his saying about being a big fish in a small pond. And if we're gonna have a park down there, maybe we need a small pond that has a big fish in it, or at least a goldfish. We can let somebody put a goldfish in there and it can get big. So, but there's not too many things in this community that Ed didn't touch in some fashion and make it better because he did. So I would just disagree with you on one thing. You talk about a sports complex, but I don't think Ed was just necessarily about sports. He was about recreation. So let's call it a recreation complex.
I certainly know the legacy of Ed, and I understand what he brought to this community. I know there is no doubt in my mind that he deserves a designation in this town for all that he has done. My question is, I'm questioning the history of the park naming, because I think in our records, it does have it is.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research on that, and I even asked the Heritage Society if they had any further details on it. Just because I've always felt that it is Joe Stevenson Park, and so I had, a disagreement with Jackie here about, it being a nameless park and only the strip being Joe Stevenson Park, because we have expanded. And we have expanded, and we have expanded. We expanded in 2003, we expanded in 2005. GOCO has a couple articles and information on their website that even says to expand Joe Stevenson Park. So that's where my main thing is. That is Joe Stevenson Park. It's always gonna be Joe Stevenson Park to me, but I do absolutely agree that Ed deserves all the recognition in the world. I would not be on this board if it weren't for the Moreland family supporting me to be on this board. So I definitely think that Ed deserves the complex, even a field, or I definitely think that park has great meaning, and we can definitely do some kind of dedication. But I feel like the request, even though it says that we would be naming a nameless park, would be a name change to me, in my opinion, because we have just expanded Joe Stevenson Park for all this time, and we have kept the name, and that's how it's been in the history of the town.
So does no one know I don't know who Joe Stevenson is. I'm sorry, I've only lived in the town for 6 years, so I don't know the history. But who is it documented anywhere who Joe is? I don't know, that's why I'm asking. Like,
Yes.
I thought that had been mayor.
He was the first planning commission chairperson.
Okay.
Okay, well, his daughter was mayor then.
Phyllis?
Carol, did you make the sign? Seems like you did.
Yes, I made a sign.
But it was specifically for that little strip. I see
Yeah.
what you're saying, is that somehow, again.
Well, you know, and
My preschool kids played on those trees.
So
Yeah.
we.
Real quick, I want to hear what Phyllis has to say. She's been
So I
raising
think
her
that
hand
would
for a
be
while.
important that you step up to the microphone because this is on YouTube and that's kind of our protocol to make sure you're on.
I'm Phyllis Ludwig. I know you're all happy to see me here again tonight. I can tell by the
Yes.
look on your faces. 9205 County Road 521. I came here in 1955, which has been more than a year or two ago. And at that time, it was also known as Joe Stevenson Park. Joe was one of the most upstanding characters in the town of Bayfield. I mean, an old-time character. He knew Billy the Kid. I mean, and he told stories. He owned a saddle shop on Main Street. He raised his family here, and he contributed an awful lot to the town as it was growing. And those days, it was hard to do, not only financially, but time-wise. But Joe was a great guy, and as near as I can recall, it's always been Joe Stevenson Park. And I know Ed did a lot for this town. And possibly maybe we could name something else for Ed, but Joe Stevenson's memory still lives a lot in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, could
thank
we
you.
consider the Ed Moreland Memorial Sports Complex at Joe Stevenson Park? I mean, it's,
Yeah.
We don't, you know.
Yeah, I actually like that idea because, I mean, I don't want to not honor Joe Stevenson,
Stevenson, yeah.
right? But we want to honor Ed as well. So, I mean, and just for the record, I am no relation to them.
Different Moreland.
No
Different
conflict
Moreland.
of interest.
So Jackie, was Ed into sports?
Ed was a little league, manager, but he played the French horn when he was in high school. He was into volleyball, and we played volleyball every Wednesday night. So that's the sport that he chose.
Because I was
He played softball too,
And he played softball.
because I remember I struck him out once.
Okay. Yeah. So, he was, but we were right there. And anyway, yeah, he wasn't big into sports, but jungle ball on Wednesday nights, we did that for years and years. Yeah.
I was just, when I was going through and reading through it, and I want something named after Ed as much as anybody else. But I was like, Ed in sports? I didn't know Ed that personally well, but I was like, maybe, maybe.
See,
So-
recreation.
I know, I
can
wish we had a
encompass
business
that thing.
complex. If we had a business complex, oh my gosh, it would be the most perfect thing ever. But we
Right.
don't
And
have
that's
one
what
of
I
those,
think
so.
too. I always think
We
of
had a
that.
little
and,
tech
and
center.
but like a recreational park or something like that, I feel like does jive with Ed.
Well,
better.
recreation
Yeah.
encompasses that thing that I find most important, and that's music. Because music is the life sport.
It is.
Honest to God,
It really
it is
is.
the life sport, and we should.
Oh. I played
It really is.
softball
I
there.
mean, there's more things you can do. I mean, music is kind of universal.
It is.
And as we go forward, maybe we can put together a little auditorium or something, or a theater complex down there that has a stage that will augment all of this. But there's a lot of visioning that can be done that can make that even more than what it is. And I mean, it certainly brings a smile to my face every Saturday morning when I drive by that park and it is full.
Yep. Yeah,
And
it's been
every
nice.
evening
And
it
the
is
lights
full.
that glare into my house.
Yes, and and that's it. And I remember those were supposed to be off at 10, but they're never off at 10 because people are
I'm
having
asleep
fun.
by then.
They're having fun.
So I feel that the board is very receptive to honoring Ed. Oh, you have something to say?
Everybody else
Well,
did, so I
go
figure
ahead.
I
Well,
can
you
say
should.
something.
Speak up.
Thank you.
Jump
I'm at a disadvantage here because as a board member, I am supposed to be objective in my rulings. And
You can't be objective.
it's very difficult because Ed was a very good friend of mine. And
He was Ed's best friend.
Thank you. And so, that said, I don't want to take anything away from Joe Stevenson. And But so a recreation complex at Joe Stevenson Park, I think would be
A good compromise.
very appropriate. Yeah, and I support it.
And I think that, you know, kind of projects that future growth as our town develops and as our park develops. It kind of encompasses the vision that we have
Right.
for the park. So
Which will happen.
I know that we have till November
Yeah.
to
Yes.
to throw this around and have a little more discussion on this. So I think this is something that I think we would want to revisit and talk about and see which direction we want to go. But I think you have the support of the board at this point too.
Thank you so much.
For
So I
a
just-
designation.
And I just want to mention to you that we do have a wayfinding plan, and so any signage would have to follow, well, I'm not going to say have to, but should follow that plan. So just kind of FYI there, that those are not cheap either, so.
Yes, that's
a
right.
GoFundMe
A
would be great on
GoFundMe.
your site. Joe.
Yes.
We'll figure that out.
And you know, I sit on the Region 9 board and I know how big of you know.
Yes,
an
they
ent-
have a large.
Yes, they get the day off. They have Ed Moreland Day.
And I carry the last name, and I always get asked, "Are you related to Ed?"
I bet. I bet. Well, thank you again, and that sounds perfect because Joe should be still honored. And yes, I've been calling it the Joe Stevenson Park for over 40 years. But thank you so much. And I guess should I come back in November when it's been 5 years?
I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
be
so
posted.
Pay attention to our budget meetings.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, I'm here so you can consider it for the budget.
Yes.
Okay, thank you
Thanks,
so
Jackie.
much.
So do you need a motion to table this?
Yeah. Do we need a motion to?
Just
It was.
It
it's
is
on-
an
yeah.
action item.
I would maybe table it until the September meeting, so that we
Okay.
have some time to work on names, to work on conventions of names, to work on where we assume things are gonna be. I think that would be helpful.
Do we need to have it documented somewhere that the name Joe Stevenson Park is a named park, or is that not?
Well, you have a wayfinding plan that included Joe Stevenson
Okay.
Park. You do
That's
not have a plan but the plan sets up basically the architecture for what these signs look like, how they, the colors and everything else. It's just a matter of changing the name, which is not the end of the world, so.
Okay.
Josh, did you have another comment?
No.
You good? All right. So I would entertain a motion to table this to
September
September 20th.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to the discussion portion of our evening, the proposed activities and senior board rental meeting. Let me get there. Okay, Katie, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, so the town staff met last Wednesday, kind of talked about some of the services that the senior center provided. We also looked at services that the town can continue to provide. Obviously, it's a matter of reconnecting. There are some of the like the exercise consultants that came in that are not necessarily as interested in coming in, or they have other jobs since or somewhere in the pandemic, those changed. So we came up with basically some things that we think that we could coordinate, and this is for discussion. We're gonna we invited the Pine River senior citizens to a meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock to also have that same discussion to talk about this list of items. I think what's great about your library, there's quite a few great programs that the library puts on. And I don't think it is beneficial for us to try to compete or change or try to do those events when the library does an absolutely awesome job with those. They're doing card making and arts and crafts, and they do have a fitness. And Thrive in Place has also got fitness going on. Now, we're meeting with the Pine River Shares on Thursday, so we'll find out a little bit more about what they're doing. This is to kind of get reconnected with all of our organizations in the area. La Plata County Senior Services, they provide the meals. The town does not cook. We do not provide meals. They manage the meals. They do service during the meals. In fact, they had a staff person that left just before the pandemic, so we've asked the question, do they have intention to fill that position? They set up and break down. That was basically came from Vicki, that they would continue to set up and break down, clean up regarding the meals, and also our info depository regarding vendors or organizations that provide senior services. They have a booklet for senior services, and the one thing I've always done in the other communities I worked with is to make sure that they were a viable organizations, so that would make sure that there's not information that's just out there because they have a great website. And so because that the county's providing those senior services, I think they really have a great resource for senior services. Now granted, we want to take everything we can and make sure that that's available at the Pine River Senior Center. Currently the Pine River Senior Board, the senior citizens, they have the Tuesday rental. And from what I understand, the quilters were there that last Tuesday that they had their open house. And they have contracted in the past with fitness. And before, BP had a fund that we took money out of, that we hired an employee and then paid that employee, and then they just reimbursed us. We took the money that was in the town's account and kept reimbursing for the cost of that salary. They do have a phone tree as far as the senior board goes, and I think that I'm managing U7, and I think that as far as a phone tree, if it's their board, I'm just kind of asking that they manage the phone tree for their organization. We have quite a few nonprofits that we do not manage their lists or phone trees for. So the rental of the facility, we're looking at no charge to any senior citizen Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to actually extend that to 4 p.m. Those afternoons, because another hour is not going to make a difference as long as it is picked up and cleaned up just like they found it. Each day we'll have a separate agreement. So in other words, every Tuesday, all Tuesdays will have the same agreement, all Wednesdays will have the same agreement, and all Fridays will have the same agreement. So in other words, we would basically, if we had to clean up and have staff come in there and clean up after them, we would use that deposit from that Tuesday bucket, or the Wednesday bucket, or the Friday bucket. Use or access to the center is within the agreement times and dates. We're just asking that, this is a no charge arrangement. We will have to manage our senior center and we understand that there's been open access to the senior center, but we also have to manage the liability as well. I know that the seniors take pride in it. They were a big contributor in helping get it built, but we're just asking them, when they leave the facility, also to take that same pride. So we are going to meet with them, whoever is there, at 10 o'clock tomorrow, just talk about these, and I think that some of them wanted to also speak to this as well.
Do we have any members of the audience that would like to address the board?
First of all, I sent Katie a memo and told her we won't.
Go ahead and state your name and address for the record, please.
Dan Devojek, 632 San Moritz, Bayfield, Colorado. I sent an email to Katie after I got back from my trip telling her we would not be able to meet tomorrow at 10 o'clock to begin with. Second of all, I don't see any reason why the seniors have to pay a deposit. I know all these other people paid deposits before, and I've came back to that senior center and found it a total mess. And I'm sure they got their deposit back. It's our senior center. The town said that they would take care of this senior center, and there's an agreement, and if you want to, we can read you the information on it. I understood they had a meeting Monday with the people, and there was an agreement that we weren't going to have to be doing all this stuff that she's wanting us to do. And as far as card making class and our crafts,
The library, I talked to the people at the library when I heard about this. They do not have the facilities for us to go down there on Tuesdays or Wednesdays or whenever and use their facilities. They need further notice. We were told at one of our meetings by Katie that when we rented that building on Tuesday, the question was asked, well, can we have a potluck? She said, you can do whatever you want. It's your building. You can invite anybody you want. So if we want to invite somebody in to do card making class, we should be able to. That's what she told us we could do.
Yeah.
And as far, like I say, as far as I'm concerned, we've been fighting this tooth and nail. We've been trying to be helpful as best we can, but I never see any other senior citizens center that they have to have a deposit to use their facilities.
So I will tell you that in our meeting with the county commissioners, Clyde did respond and say that a lot of communities are having trouble getting back to normal after this pandemic, especially with their senior center because of the restrictions. So that made me feel better that it's not just us here having to deal with this. But I will tell you that the application that you're looking at is a one-time application to cover all of those days. And we are just asking you for a deposit to cover incidentals in case it's not covered.
It's our senior center. If we break a window, we'll pay for it. We have the money. If something goes missing, there's a bunch of tables that used to be on the porch back there are gone. Nobody seems to know what happened to those tables. They just disappeared, I guess, off that back there. I guess during this pandemic, somebody came by and decided they wanted one of those tables and took them. There used to be 4. There's 2 back there. There's benches missing. There's chairs missing from back there.
And as far as the library, you're not asking them to host your event. They're asking you to come join their event, not to have your own separate thing at the library.
The seniors want to have their events at their senior center.
Then we can certainly arrange that.
That's it, period. Thank you.
I would like to say when it comes to the card making and the arts and crafts and fitness, that I actually agree with the seniors on that. I don't see why they can't. I mean, if they're allowed to go in the center on those days and do whatever they want, we shouldn't be. Shouldn't be telling them what they can and cannot do on that.
That's incorrect. I never told them that they couldn't have their.
And yeah, because they are.
So
able
if that's
to organize
that's
their own.
but that's the perception that they have. So if that's the perception that they have, then they should know here and now.
That's
We're not directing them that they can or
They cannot.
cannot.
Yep.
We're just telling you you've got stuff at library too that you could go to as well if you don't have enough days in the week to do it. So.
Yep.
Charlene Johnson, and I live at 251 Clover Drive. My first statement is, a few months ago, we had a meeting. Ashley, I believe you were there, and I asked Katie then to show our board and our president respect and talk to him prior to sending a directive email. Do you remember that?
And lots of phone calls went unreturned.
Okay, okay, then at
Lots of them.
the second meeting, we asked the same thing. This meeting that we were supposed to have tomorrow at 10 o'clock, once again, Dan says that he was not notified prior to a directive email.
That's correct.
We would like respect on that part. I am not going to argue, Ashley, that maybe he ignored some calls, but we're tired of being told what to do. Our senior center, the ladies that like to come and do their quilting at our senior center have been invited to go to the library. They enjoy the senior center better. The people that do the arts and crafts have been told we can go other places. They continually come to the senior center. Mm-hmm. The card making, they want to do it at the senior center. Mm-hmm. Why? It's home. They feel a little bit more comfortable. Not that the library is rude or unreceptive or anything, but you all have your favorite spots to do things. A lot of our people have their favorite spot to do at the senior center, not the library, not my backyard, not your backyard. Please understand that. We are there because we want to be there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Carol McWilliams, 4334 County Road 509. I'm on the senior board, and I have been going to the senior lunches for quite a while, mainly the ones on Fridays. The seniors have been operating in that building for more than 10 years with the Tuesday game days and bring your own snacks, and then the lunches on Wednesdays and Fridays, and also people can be there from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. playing pool or bingo or Mexican train dominoes and that kind of thing. And we have never had to ask permission to do those things. And now, all of a sudden, we are having to ask permission to do the things that we have always done. And to me, that is the big issue.
And I wouldn't consider it permission. It's just, we are asking everybody to just go through the same process. And like I said, you're completely welcome to do whatever you want on those days. We just want a completed rental agreement with a refundable deposit.
Yes.
And I don't feel like that's a big ask. It's just, look, we can help you fill it out. It's not a hard form. Just to keep accountability and liability.
Again, I'm Phyllis, 9205 County Road 521. Look at the smiles. You're so glad to see me. I can tell.
I'm bracing for it.
No. And I do want to thank you that did come to the open house. I thought it was a great success. And thank you, Ashley, for the door prizes. They went over really good. But as far as the $100 deposit goes, we have never had to do that. No other senior center I've talked to has ever had to do that. And even with the liability thing, insurance covers liability of all kinds. But we do pay. If we do something we shouldn't do, we pay for it. We always have, we always will. We take pride in our center, but we also take pride in ourselves. But we don't think that we should have to put down $100 to use our center. I mean, it's unheard of. That is what most of the directors at the senior centers have told me. They said they have never heard of such a thing, and they can't understand why it's being done, because everything is usually covered, if not by the insurance policy, by the seniors themselves. And like I say, we've done it for the past 13 years, and we can keep doing it. It's just a principle of the thing, I think. Thank you.
I have a question for you, Phyllis.
You want my age?
No, ma'am, I've got way more politeness in me than to ever ask that. But if there was an agreement just saying that you agree to pay if there's anything, and that takes whatever liability of the town off of their backs, but they don't actually ask you, hey, give us a check today.
I thought of that today and
Is
wondered if
that something like negotiable with you guys?
I would be glad to do that.
I would
think that
support
would be
that.
fair.
I would support that.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, I'd be glad. In fact, I thought of that today and wondered if maybe you would accept that. Because you do need something in writing probably to cover yourself.
Right, exactly. And I think that's where this really stems from, is that piece that does cover us. But I mean, like,
Right.
I trust our senior
No,
center.
we would be,
our
we would be
seniors,
glad to do that.
so.
I'll put that on myself rather than ask them.
And I think there's a struggle with kind of some of the changes the town is doing across the board. And we are trying to tighten up a lot of procedural issues that were maybe very lax in the past. So it's just across the board, things that we're trying to do, the new direction we're trying to go. And you know, I think the board is, we're on the same page here with this. And so that's why I'm saying it, to us, it doesn't seem like a huge ask. I understand that it's very sensitive, and to you, it seems that, you know,
Well, it's things that we don't feel like we should be asked to do since we've already put so much into that center.
Right.
But I'll be glad to have something written up. If I can't do it, my lawyer sure can. So I
Well,
appreciate we can do
and
that.
honestly, I appreciate this communication because it's hard, you know, I appreciate you coming to these meetings and voicing this for us because we do need to hear this.
You know, I really don't think the intention is like to take away what you guys have, but more just to make sure that our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted,
Well,
so
and
that if
you're
we're questioned by anybody, we can say, well, we have this agreement, or if we're sued, we have this agreement, and, you know, to make sure that, you know, we have something that says, or if we have somebody that wanted to rent it and it's during one of your guys' times, that we have it in writing that, I'm sorry, you can't have that because of X, not because, you know, the color of your skin or your, you do know what I mean? Like, we don't want to be sued from outside people. It doesn't necessarily mean that we don't want you guys to do what you've been doing all along.
Well,
that
you're
makes any
covering
sense.
yourself too, and I understand that
Exactly.
perfectly. But we'll be glad to put something in writing if that's acceptable, and we'll get it to you right away.
I mean, we have our attorney here. Could we consider such documentation?
Of course.
Okay.
Does it need to be notarized? I can have that done too. And a drop of blood.
I think we'll pass on that.
Have a firstborn that you're gonna put into that?
One old enough to, like, I don't know,
Have
pick
a
up,
firstborn you're gonna throw
do some
towards
lawn
that.
Oh
mowing
my,
or
you're
something.
giving back.
Oh, come on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I'll try
Phyllis.
not to bug you anymore for 2 more
So,
years.
so just a reminder that a lease over 1 year would require an ordinance. So there's a little bit more that you have to go through. And we would review anything not only with our town attorney, but with our insurance company as well.
Okay.
Well, that's understandable. Thank you.
We will look into that.
I have one more thing.
Sure.
If we agree to pay for something, which is fine, but also, we know you rent the building out, we'd like to make sure it was us that broke it, not somebody else that damaged it before we pay.
Of course.
That goes without saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally goes without saying.
I'm back. This is Stuart at 128 North Appaloosa. I'm kind of confused.
Lucy, could you put that
Yeah, there you
microphone
go.
on? Thank you.
I'm kind of confused about, I think Katie said that they were hiring a part-time person to work at the senior center to keep it clean.
The custodian.
We have a
To
custodian.
do custodial duties, not necessarily to pick up.
They're
you
not
know,
picking up after you
picking
guys,
up
or
after-
after a
They're doing
party.
the major mopping, cleaning,
Crumbs.
Yeah.
disinfecting.
So like cleaning the restrooms and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was confused. I didn't
That's,
know if it was just.
that's our goal.
But as far as leaving trash out on the tables, that's in charge, that's
Yeah,
whoever.
crumbs and cups and.
Never done that, never will, I'll beat 'em.
All right, thanks.
Come on.
Thank you.
Or if somebody drops something and it stains by accident, or you use a permanent marker on a dry erase board, or any of these kind of things, you know, I think people are talking about like big liability, and simple $100 deposit, whether we're past that or not, would cover something, you know, accidentals like that.
Okay, and I like the idea of this community engagement coordinator. I think that addresses some of those gaps, you know, those couple hours a week that we do need someone over there and helping to hunt down and find, you know, these events and activities. Like I said, I have reached out to a senior fitness instructor. They're they're not really interested right now in going back into, especially with the senior population. They feel.
You know, and just one thing, in the past, we
Sorry, you got to step up.
In the past, we have left our senior center spotless on Fridays. It's clean, the tables are put up, whatnot. We've come back on Tuesdays after a rental that the town gets paid for and had to do our own cleaning, clean our bathroom, put the tables and chairs up. And when we have asked, did they get their deposit back, it's, well, yes, they left it fine. I would like to suggest that from this point on, when someone actually rents that building, other than the seniors, that before the check is signed, someone comes down and makes sure you can flush the toilet, you can put your paper towels in the dispenser, and you're not making footprints with the cake crumbs left on the floor, because that is how we have found it on Tuesday mornings, many times.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Katie's very particular about certain things and making sure all those T's are crossed and those I's are dotted. I have no doubt in my mind that she's going to be a different type of town manager than
This
what
is
you're
what I'm
used
saying.
to.
Moving forward, this is the kind
Okay,
of.
and
Yeah.
but I just want you to know that one reason why we want to make sure it's left clean is we have found it such a disastrous mess many times, more times than not. And that includes the grounds outside. I myself, stick and all, have gone out there and picked up paper plates, beer cans. Didn't think we were supposed to drink down there. beer cans, all this kind of stuff off our grounds because it was not taken care of prior to our coming back in on Tuesdays. Thank you.
All right, well, like I said, there's a new sheriff in town, and, you know, it's just, it's gonna take a little getting used to by everyone, but it's a direction, a positive direction that we intend to go in. And I appreciate you speaking up.
Question.
Yes.
There was a meeting that was referenced that was going to be tomorrow, and
Tomorrow.
evidently
We
it's
were
not
just gonna
going to
be there at
tomorrow?
10 o'clock just to talk about any of the activities.
Okay.
If nobody's there, we don't need to be there either.
Okay, good, thank you.
Can that be rescheduled?
We can reschedule it.
You have a president back here to ask too, please.
Do you have a particular day that would work better for you?
Right now, we're gonna have a board meeting here shortly, and we'll see if we can figure out some time whenever it's convenient for everybody.
Great, just
Okay.
let me know.
Okay, do we have any further comments, discussion?
Nope.
We'll get it figured out. I keep saying that. We're gonna get it figured out. All right, board reports. Anybody have anything to add? I thought that was a nice, constructive, meeting with the county commissioners.
Yeah, that was
Katie, did
great.
you do any follow-up on time? I know Brenna would really like to attend those. I forgot to ask that.
I will contact the 2 administrative staff members that contacted me because I felt that talking to the 3 commissioners may not get their schedule changed.
Okay.
And breakfast, you know, like make sure that they order breakfast.
Yeah. All right, and we do have our meeting about Cinnamon Heights on the 26th at 6:30. I did ask that any discussion on Cinnamon Heights got left off tonight so that we can put it on Monday's agenda. I feel like it's a little more captive audience, and I think there's a little more time for interaction and answering questions. So I asked to move everything to that night.
And just a reminder, I won't be here.
Okay.
On Monday?
That's correct.
Geez, we won't know what to do about money.
Okay, and then
You'll figure it
RHA discussion meeting, that's July 27th, that's 2 o'clock. We are hosting it here.
That's correct.
If, obviously, can the rest of the board attend that, or do
The
we?
public is welcome,
Okay.
and that includes anybody that's not necessarily designated to attend from the RHA.
And do we have to post that if there's?
It's posted on,
Okay,
it's posted
so
at
we're
the door.
we're covered if
Yeah,
3 of us show,
It's
okay.
posted on the door.
Okay, do we have anything else to add?
Yeah, do we have a schedule for budget meetings?
So we're gonna discuss
Start
budget
Monday.
starting Monday, after
It's
housing.
every 4th Monday.
Every fourth Monday?
For a while.
So I mean, so after Cinnamon Heights, we're gonna talk about budget.
Yeah, so July, August, September, October, 4th Monday.
Okay.
Okay,
We might want to put something on there about Cinnamon Heights and budget.
it is, it's on there.
It's on there.
Yeah,
It is? It
Yeah.
is. If I could read.
there's a slash there.
You too.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, do we have any other comments? Discussion?
No, I'm good.
Mayor?
Yes.
Second?
Yes.
I just wanted to make the board aware and also the community aware that on August 3rd, the Bayfield Marshal's Office will be participating in the National Night Out event.
Yay.
It is a barbecue that we will be doing for community members, citizens, children. We'll have some activities there. We just wanted to make sure that we invite the board members and everybody. It does start at 5 o'clock, so you can come and enjoy a hot dog before your meeting and get a
Perfect.
meal. It goes from 5 to 7, so we just like to invite everybody. It's being held at Eagle Park at the Pavilion.
Perfect, thank you. All right, if there is no further discussion or comments, I will adjourn this meeting. It is 8:02.